Happy New Year, everyone. Hello to parents, educators, and friends. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. And I am Dr. Blissful. And the purpose of these videos is to give you tips and tricks on education. If you're a new teacher, especially if you're a parent, this is the channel for you. I am also the author of Breaking Free of Bullying, where I give strategies to keep your kiddos and you safe, happy, and emotionally healthy. If you are a returning guest, Shaka and welcome back. Today I am feeling blissfully generous. Let's say that. I had a wonderful holiday. I hope you did as well. And since it is the new year, I thought I'd talk about goals. I don't really do resolutions because, let's be honest, they last what, maybe a couple weeks, a month. So I thought it would be fun and important to talk about our goals for this year, in particular, in education. And so today's topic is, should I become a teacher? And I'm going to give you three good questions to reflect upon to really evaluate whether you're going down the right path or not. Okay. Teaching has been an amazing experience for me. I taught for 20 years in the same for in the same school district. Um, didn't end well. That's a story for another day. I also taught at different schools, like at a Muslim school, which is extremely rewarding, Catholic school, so on and so forth. But for the purposes of this discussion, really kind of evaluating whether teaching is really something that you want to get into. And the reason I thought about it, other than just having goals for the new year, my daughter has a friend who is going to teacher school and uh, doesn't, not really sure if that's the correct path. And so I thought, it's really important to let you young educators know what you're getting in for. So when I was a young girl, I wasn't going to be a teacher. I was a dancer and I wanted to do that. But of course, my parents frowned upon it because it wasn't lucrative. So as pre-law, did that for a couple years, interned at a law firm, hated it. I liked it, but every like Sunday at 5, I'd start getting anxiety about having to go to work the next day. And yeah, it's just not a good way to live your life. Holidays would be like President's Day weekend. It was just, I wasn't enjoying it. And as time went on, it became more of a dread. And then I dabbled in accounting because again, my dad, oh, you need to have security, yada yada. And I don't even know what I was thinking when I was doing that because I literally cannot even count. I can count money. That's about it. I'm just not really good at math. Don't like math, which is why I stayed in elementary education because math just isn't my thing unless it's money, jackpots in my pocket. So I landed, because I was in dance, I was a cheerleading coach and really enjoyed it. And then kind of put two and two together. I'm pretty good at this. I'm pretty good with kids and I really was passionate about it. And so went back again and did the whole teacher thing, and it took me forever because all the classes that I took for my pre-law business didn't really transfer over to education. So I kind of had to start all over again. But in the end, it was worth it because I was a pretty damn good teacher, I'll say. Obviously wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, but I was a pretty damn good teacher. And the reason that I was such a good teacher was because um, I loved kids, but I really invested myself in those relationships. So while there are many, many parents who couldn't stand me and probably hated my guts, that's fine because I was always firm but fair. And there's a lot of families that love me to death. And I think when you're a parent and your kids come home and they love their teacher, you need to get on your hands and knees and thank God that your child was put in their class. Don't put one of these. I can't tell you how many times a parent pulled or made up stories about me because their kids loved me so much that the mom was threatened by that. And I can't wrap my mind around it 20 years later. It's like insane to me. There's I always wanted my kids to just enjoy school and be happy in their class and love their teacher. I mean, that is just such a blessing. So if you're a parent watching this and your child loves their teacher and that's all they talk about all day long, just give blessings. Like that is gold. There's nothing to be threatened by. There's nothing worse than having a teacher that you can't stand, right? And having your kid cry every day. So it really takes a really good person to appreciate the teacher in their child's life. And also, if something's wonky, then, get to know your child's teacher. There's so many times where I was in the office and a parent would come for their kid and they would say, well, what grade is your child in? I don't know. Well, what's your child's teacher's name? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Do you even know your kid's name? I used to just get so frustrated. It's like, okay, you don't know what grade your kid is in and you don't know your child's teacher. That's disgusting. Like, that's just unacceptable. So, make an effort to get to know your child's teacher, and I'll tell you, when you put in that effort, it really makes a difference for us as educators because we just want to know that we're valued too. We want to feel like we're important in your child's life, and I think yeah, it's definitely worth it. I definitely think that my relationship with my kiddos was good and bad because again, if you had good parents, it was amazing. And if you had parents that just didn't like you because, I don't know, the way you dressed or the way you looked, it can make for a really bad year. So let's focus on why you should become a teacher. Let's get the obviously's out of the way. Obviously, you need to love kids. I mean, if you don't like kids, like why would you ever be a teacher? You'd go nuts. So you would last a month. The second obvious is yes, the hours are good in terms of being able to make appointments after school, for dentists or doctors if you have kids. You get lots of holidays off, but you're going to need those holidays because teaching and education is really grueling. And if you have a difficult class, and when I mean difficult and challenging, like you have a lot of students with different disabilities or a lot of needs, or God forbid, you get the psycho parent that nobody wants. It's a long year and you need those holidays off. Trust me. I love teaching. Well, I started not liking teaching when they changed the summer school program. I think it was like 2012, 2013, and our summers were shortened. And I just could never get into it. I just couldn't. I just could not. I hated going back to school in August. It was hot. I wasn't ready. I was exhausted. And that was kind of how I was like on my way out. And I went back to school, got my PhD, yada, yada. So those obviously, you have to love kids. You have to love education. Yes, it's nice to have those days off, but you're working a lot. It's definitely not for everybody. So the questions that I want you to reflect on if you're watching this and you're thinking about becoming a teacher, the first question I would ask is, are you going into teaching because it's the easiest career path in terms of college? Are you going into teaching because you need a job? You need a paycheck? Or are you going into teaching because you're offering a service? So if you're going into teaching because you need a paycheck or you want to get paid, you're not going to probably like it or last too long. And I think in the beginning, that's okay. I mean, if you're thinking maybe 2, 3 years, after 5 years, you kind of get more money, it's kind of leveled out, but really strategize and think about that. Now, if you are going into teaching because you think you are really good at education and you can offer a service to those kiddos, just like I am offering a service to you all to try to prepare you, then definitely teaching may be for you. Okay, so really think about that. The second question I want you to ask to yourself is, I wrote it down, and of course I don't have my readers. Grab these guys. Second question is, am I going into teaching because I have easy hours and lots of days off? Or am I willing to put in the work to become successful and to meet um, kids' needs in terms of helping them be successful and get to the next level? That's something that you really need to think about. Do you want to make a difference in a kiddo's life? Or is just like, I get summers off, I get Christmas off. Um, you're really doing those kiddos a disservice. And we need more teachers that are passionate about working with kids and making a difference in their lives. Okay. The last question I would ask myself is, are you creative? Are you a creator? Or are you competitive? So if you are a creator, then you can do wonderful things in the classroom. Not to mention, just in decorations and making your room inviting, but I'm talking about creations in your lessons, how you're going to present it. Is it going to be a multiple intelligence, different learning styles? Is it going to be, maybe you're good at science and you have all these great ideas on how to reach kids? Then definitely teaching is for you. If you are a competitor and you want to just shine and you want to outdo uh, other teachers in terms of like, if you're that competitor, like, oh, well, she did this lesson, so I'm going to do this lesson even better, then then teaching just is probably not for you because obviously, we as teachers, we we make pretty good money. I know teachers think that they don't. We make pretty good money depending on the district, and we can talk about this more in another session. But there's good benefits. It's good. It's a nice salary if you get into a nice district, but you're going to have to do a lot of research on the district as well. Um, and then we'll talk about that more in another session. Um, But again, to recap, the three questions that you should ask yourself if you really want to be a teacher is one, um, I already forgot what I said. Let's see. So yeah, am I going into this for a paycheck or because I love education and I want to offer a service? The second one is, um, do I want easy hours and days off, or am I willing to put in the work to make a difference in a child's life? And the last question you should ask yourself is, are you a creator or a competitor? And if you're a creator, then we need you. Kids need you. They need your brilliance in creations. They don't need a competitor. That just kind of divide and conquers and in the school system and breaks down the communication and the rapport that you're trying to build with your colleagues, your administrators, and your parents. So if you are thinking of going into teaching, that's awesome. We appreciate you. Just know that when your time is up, just know that it's your time and don't hang out just to get a retirement, severance package. There's lots of money out there for you to do besides teaching if it's not something for you, but at least you have that education, you know, in your back pocket, and education is always good. So if you have any comments, I would love to hear your feedback. In the meantime, click the like button, ring the bell, subscribe, and I will see you in the next go around. All right. Have a great day. Shaka.